She was the person, a lot of people looked at the magic of that campaign and they contributed it to her, fair or unfair. But what's your personal take on Liz and what she did for the campaign?
Well, she says she could maybe take credit for 5%. The rest goes to Pete Buttigieg. But that strategy and putting him on Fox News, I mean, it works. So you got to give her some credit there. What happened behind the scenes? I love behind the scenes stuff. And I love knowing how they pulled things off. Do you remember when Pete was running for the DNC chair and he was down in Houston, that whole thing? And I think it was in January, like 2017. Remember, right after Trump came into power, he put into place this Muslim ban, as it became known. And there were these people on planes already, they're in the air and they landing at these airports. So the airports became these scenes of these huge protests. And his campaign, Liz, says, and others in the room too, how about let's sneak off to the airport? Basically giving everyone else there the slip. Totally scoops all these other campaigns. Once they got to the airport, Pete just stood amongst a crowd of people and started talking about how we are a nation built on immigrants, how what makes our country great is this amazing tapestry. It's one of those things that broke through.
I love snark. Is there snark? She seems like, Lis Smith seems like she would have some snark.
So much snark, so much, and so well described. This is such a well-written book too. The writing style is actually very similar to yours. It's just delicious.
Earlier this week, Senator Tammy Baldwin, who is gay, was in an elevator as Marco Rubio slithered in while speaking to a CNN reporter, calling last week's vote on a bill to codify same-sex marriage into federal law a, quote, stupid waste of time. It's important to note that 47 House Republicans joined with Democrats to pass that bill on marriage equality last week. It's called the Respect for Marriage Act, and it would formally repeal 1996's Defense of Marriage Act, which defined marriage as between a man and woman only. By the way, the law was written to include not only gay marriage, but interracial marriage. So wake up and pay attention, Clarence Thomas. Your right to be married to a callous authoritarian boner shrinker is on the chopping block too. A few months ago, we wouldn't have thought much about needing this protection, but now that all these trigger laws are kicking in across the country with the Supreme Court's repeal of Roe versus Wade, America has woken up to realize that their rights can be taken away at any moment. Yes, taxpayers, the Republicans went after women's rights in the morning, and they'll be coming for gay rights before the sun sets. Why? Because they always need a group to demonize. Marco Rubio knows this. Let's hear what Pete had to say on the subject.
If he's got time to fight against Disney, I don't know why he wouldn't have time to help safeguard marriages like mine. Look, our marriage deserves to be treated equally. If they don't want to spend a lot of time on this, they can vote yes and move on.
Republican Representative Matt Gaetz, aka Captain Venmo, told an audience of college students at the Turning Point USA Student Action Committee that women who support the pro-choice movement are too fat and too disgusting to have to worry about getting pregnant anyway.
Why is it that the women with the least likelihood of getting pregnant are the ones most worried about having abortions? Nobody wants to impregnate you if you look like a thumb.
So what have we learned here? Well, Matt Gaetz is cruising into his 40s, but he hasn't grown out of acting like an overly pampered D-bag who has all of his moral crimes and transgressions erased by using his daddy's money and pull. Puzzling considering he's got those stunning good looks to fall back on. I mean, come on, moms of America. Tell me you wouldn't be thrilled to open your front door and see this waiting to take your daughter out. As pundit James Carville likes to say about Gaetz, that boy ain't right. You can just look at his face and know. He got pervert written all over him. Nothing Matt Gaetz does is for the actual good of the people in Florida's 1st Congressional District, and certainly nothing he does benefits women yet they keep voting him back in. They could have had Phil Eyre, a retired US Navy commander, but instead they went with the misogynist, knuckle-dragging douche canoe who believes he's free from consequences, impervious to shame, and readily criticizes women's physical appearances, while strangely unaware that he himself has a face that looks like someone gave the Mr. Potato Head pieces to a chimpanzee and said, "Have at it, Bubbles!" For more Republicans in distress, subscribe to us on YouTube at YouCantBeatBlue, then follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit. Whatever the fuck Reddit is.